Sukha, Perek Gimel, Mishnah Yud Aleph. Still discussing Hallel. Mokum shanoago lichpoel yichpoel. Where the custom was to repeat all the psukim at the end of Hallel from Oidcha and thereafter, if that was the custom, then that's what one should do. Explains the Bartanura, as we mentioned, all the psukim from Oidcha, from Sof Hallel, Koflim. In some places they had a minig, similar to what we do today, to repeat all those psukim from Oidcha to the end. Explains the Bartanura, Lefishe, Kol Oisa HaPerek, that Perek, that's Perek 118, Kuf Yud Ches, from Tehillim, from Hodu Lashem Kitov, Ad Oidcha, Kuloi Kofel B'Mikra. The psukim seem to repeat, similar words are used, one posuk after the other, and then again, posuk 3, 4, 5 and 6, similar words are used, somewhat of a repetition. However, from Oidcha, from the posuk Oidcha, and thereafter Ulamata, Einu Kofel, each posuk is a separate idea, separate content, no repetition of the words, and therefore Lokach Nohagu Lichpol HaMikroes Halolu. Therefore, some had the custom to repeat those psukim, similar to as we do today, and if that is the minig, then so one should do that. Livshoit, if however the minig was to say it in a poshut way, without repeating those psukim from Oidcha onwards, Yivshoit, then the person should not repeat. That's perfectly in order, that minig. Some people had a minig, levorech acharov, to make a bracha at the end of Hallel, as we do today. If that's the minig, yevorech acharov, then a person should say the bracha at the end of Hallel. General rule, hakoil keminig hamadina. Everything according to the minig of that particular area. Says the Bartanura, but the bracha of Hallel, prior to reciting the Hallel, mitzvahi b'chol mokum. That was a mitzvah universally adopted. Ve'enoi tolu b'minig. It's not dependent on custom, because there's a mitzvah to say a bracha prior to Hallel. The Mishnah then moves to the purchase of Arba Minim in Shemitah year, in Shvius, the 7th year, where there are many restrictions on the produce. The produce has Kedusha Shvius in the 7th year, and what's particularly relevant to us in this Mishnah is that if one hoards produce from Shvius, one can do so, but once that produce is no longer available in the fields, then the individual must make his own produce, whatever produce it is. He must make that particular species, he must make it available to animals and other people. He can no longer hoard that particular fruit. Also, if a person buys Shvius produce from someone else, then that money also has the Kedusha of Shvius as well. And there are lots of restrictions on that money. What can be purchased from that money? For example, food can be purchased. But also, that money must be utilized, for example, to buy fruit, buy other food, by the time that the fruit that was sold and bought with that money, by the time that that fruit is no longer available in the fields, then the individual who sold the produce must utilize that money that was used to purchase it for food and other items of use. Now, the concern here is, says the Mishnah, Halokeach lulav mechaver b'shvius. Someone who buys a lulav, and here we mean the arba minim, from his friend, and as the Bartanura says, this is an am ha'oretz, someone who's not very well versed, not learned about the halachas of shvius. And the concern is, what will this seller do with the money? Now, says the Bartanura, the lulav itself is not a concern. Why not? Lefi shelulav eitz ba'alma. That's not a fruit, it's just wood. Va'ein boi kedusha shvius. According to the Bartanura, there's no kedusha shvius with the lulav, so that's not a concern. However, the money used to buy an esrog cannot be given to this am ha'oretz, because the concern is he will not utilize that money by the required time, by the time that esrogim are no longer available in the fields. That is the time he has to utilize that money that he's received for the sale for himself to buy things, food, to eat. So therefore we cannot give an am ha'oretz money for an esrog, because it will become or have the kedusha of shvius, the money will have kedusha shvius, and the concern is that am ha'oretz will not utilize it according to the rules of shvius. So therefore, what do we do? Noisin loy esrog b'matona. We would want this am ha'oretz to give the esrog in the arba minim as a gift. That would seem unfair. But the way we do this is lefi she'ein rashai leloikcha b'shvius. You cannot buy it in shvius. If, however, as you'd expect, the seller may not be prepared to just give it away as a matana, what you can do is you can inflate the price of the lulav to incorporate the value of the esrog. Thereby, the seller will not lose on the sale of the whole arba minim. The esrog will be free. The money that goes to this am ha'oretz is for the eitz ba'alma, as it were, not for the esrog. As it's not for the esrog, there will be no kedusha shvius on the money that's passed across to the am ha'oretz, and therefore there will be no concern. That concludes Mishnah Yud Aleph.